This season of Area Code Batavia is brought to you by Christine Clemens, a real estate broker with App Properties Christie's International Real Estate, one of Chicagoland's most trusted brokers, helping you buy, sell, and invest in real estate. For more information and to see how much your home is worth, text HOME to 630-797-8421 or go to christineclemens.com or click the link in the show notes. This episode of Area Code Batavia is brought to you by Bulldog Plumbing Incorporated. For more information or to schedule an appointment, visit their website in the show notes or give them a call at 630-313-9109. Hey everybody, you're listening to Area Code Batavia. I'm your host, Richard Clark. As you know, every week we share a list of recommended businesses that make Area Code Batavia possible. These are businesses that are more than just sponsors. They're invested in our community and share our vision for a vibrant, connected Batavia. They include Christine Clemens at Properties Christie's International Real Estate, Bulldog Plumbing, Bogie Bikes, Batavia Paranormal Investigation Squad, and Plimsoll Marketing Agency. You can find out more information in the show notes and let them know that you heard about them here. What does it take to actually feel a sense of belonging in your community? I've been exploring this question throughout the season, mainly focusing on how I, and by extension you, our audience, can feel more of a sense of belonging in Batavia. One of the core ideas behind this podcast is that experiencing belonging is an essential need, not just something that's nice to have. That's why I was so excited to talk to someone who's made it her life's work to help other people feel like they belong in practical, concrete ways. Joanne Spitz is the co-chair, along with Melinda Kentz, of CHIP in Batavia, a nonprofit that works to ensure every child in our town has the opportunity to thrive, from basic necessities to prom dresses and college laptops.
That's one of the many things that I've done over the years.
Yeah.
I got involved when my kids were small with the PTO I did for 7 years. And I got involved with the Batavia Foundation for Educational Excellence for 9 years. I have been helping with the Friends Group of Tri-City Family Services. I've done their Adopt a Family program for 15 years. Yeah. I helped when the high school built the
theater.
Yeah,
yes,
Batavia
yes.
Fine Arts Center. So when it first opened, Dominic Catiro was doing a lot of publicity, and I helped him find people to sponsor.
Nice.
And that took a year or two. We started CHIP In 12 years ago when I was still on the Batavia Foundation for Educational Excellence.
Okay.
And I'm also on the Fox Valley Patriotic Organization, which just completed the Flag Day Monument.
Yeah.
I'm a full-time volunteer. That's what occupies my time.
Yeah.
It's how I've made my place in Batavia. It's how I've met the best people I could possibly meet.
Yeah. I've heard from multiple guests throughout the series that the best way to feel belonging in Batavia is to spend time volunteering. Joanne definitely experienced that firsthand, but she's also doing the kind of work that helps those who might not have the time and resources to volunteer feel a sense of belonging anyway.
I have many different groups of people that I have been fortunate enough to work with and volunteer with, which is the greatest gift I've gotten from doing everything is the close friends that I've made.
The close connections.
Yes.
And so,
how wonderful they all are.
Joanne isn't really a big presence in the room. She's not a big talker in general, and she described herself to me as shy. And yet, she's managed to mobilize an entire town to care for its most vulnerable members. Here's my conversation with Joanne about her experience devoting herself to volunteer work, how to show compassion, and what it really means to chip in. How long have you been what you would call a full-time volunteer? How long has that been?
I've been here for 30 years with some small children, but I've probably been doing this for about 28 years.
28 years. Amazing. Have you thought about working. I'm curious about that
Yes.
decision-making process. Have you thought about, maybe I should just get paid for this, you know?
Yes, I have thought about that. And I was working full-time, out of school. My husband was in medical school.
Yeah.
He had very terrible hours. He was on call. And then I worked part-time when I had kids. And I left my job when we moved here.
Uh-huh.
And yes, I thought about it. And then I decided I wanted to stay home with them.
Uh-huh.
And then I decided I'll keep volunteering.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Sometimes I look back and I think I should have.
Really?
And I see a lot of my friends who've gone back to work.
Yeah.
And I think I could have done that. I have a degree and a master's degree. And
In what?
I have an MBA
Okay.
in business.
Nice.
And an undergrad in advertising.
Okay.
And maybe I could have, but things have changed in the world and I don't know where my place would be.
Huh.
And this is the place that I have found.
This is your place.
And my husband just retired. So
Yeah.
we're
Okay.
going to try and enjoy our time together.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you have the flexibility. That's good.
I do.
But
I'm very
you
lucky.
also have questions around money and stuff. You take those questions away and it becomes really clear. One of the things I struggle with is gosh, I just want to do things I'm really proud of. And I think one of the things that's cool about what you're doing is it feels like every single thing you're doing, you can take a lot of pride in, or you care about deeply, or it's really valuable to someone.
I think it is. It's valuable to me. I think we're helping different people in all these different projects.
Yeah.
I hope we are.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Why are you tentative about it? Why is that it seems like it's a question for you.
Because I see friends who are working
Mm-hmm.
and I think the society places value on people who work.
Mm-hmm.
And most people would look at me and say, I don't work.
Mm-hmm.
In my eyes, I work a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not an 8 to 5 person
Yeah.
or 9 to 5. And sometimes I think I should have gone back to work.
Okay. So that's really interesting because this articulates a struggle I have a lot, a tension I feel a lot, and I think a lot of people feel, which is to what degree is value and worth attached to this the only way the world has ever figured out, apparently, to sort of articulate or formalize or concretize that value and worth is money.
Right. Yeah.
And I think we all know that's wrong, but we also can't. There's something about our culture that makes it so that we can't get out of that mindset.
And I know a lot of people who work and do amazing volunteer work.
Yeah.
People can do that. Or
Yeah.
some people have a job in a nonprofit and they might get paid.
Sure.
And they're doing wonderful work.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think different people find their path. And
Yeah.
this was the path I picked.
Yeah. And you were able to do that too, which is really nice.
I'm very lucky.
Of all of these different things you've done, what is the thing that drives you about all of those?
I feel like I'm making a difference
Mm-hmm.
by working with so many other amazing people.
Yeah.
My closest friends are the people that I've met doing what I'm doing. And I feel very blessed to have, I wouldn't know them if I wasn't doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I think together we are really making a difference to a lot of people.
That's cool. We're talking in the Batavia Public School 101 building. So as part of CHIP In, your CHIP In is directly related to Batavia Public School. You guys work hand in hand, right?
We are a restricted fund under the Batavia Foundation for
Yeah.
Educational Excellence. They're a 501c3.
Okay.
So anything that any financial things that we get go to them.
Go to the school system.
No, it goes to the foundations.
Goes to the foundation.
We have an administrator there.
Yeah.
Amazing lady. Every penny that we get stays with CHIP In,
Uh-huh.
but they help us manage it.
Okay. Got
So
it.
we're not part of the school district,
Yeah.
but we help students and families in Batavia Public Schools. And to know if they're in need, if they're low income or homeless,
Yeah.
we work with the school district.
When did you decide to make this a collaboration with the school district?
When I was on the Education Foundation, I'm also on the Batavia Bicycle Commission, which is now the Active Transportation Advisory Commission.
Okay.
And I've been on that for 15 years. I just left last week after 15 years.
Wow.
And at the time, I found out that there was a homeless family living at Lazarus House, and they happened to have bicycles. And someone brought this to my attention during a meeting here.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt ashamed that being part of the PTO and the foundation, that I never knew that we had homeless students in our community.
Mm.
And no one in the district while I was on PTO ever asked us for help. I thought, if I don't know, how many other people don't know?
Yeah.
We set up a meeting with Lisa Palazzi, who's no longer here, who was the student services. And we talked. And she said, what do you want to do? Well, maybe we'll get some people together. If I didn't know, no one else, maybe other people didn't know, and they're willing to do things.
Yeah.
I was having lunch with Melinda Kintz that day. We got together. We thought, okay, let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
We drove around looking for houses. Just maybe we could buy a house and move people in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the two of us reached out to all the different nonprofits in Batavia,
Yeah.
and this is why our community is amazing.
Yeah.
And we had a meeting with all the nonprofits in this room.
Uh-huh.
Each one adopted a school, and they took care of the needs that came up. They paid for them and took care of them until we got ourselves going.
And so that was sort of the stopgap until you started CHIP In.
Yes, there was no name. We just thought, let's just do this.
The cool thing about that is that you treated the issues as urgent, right?
Yes.
Like it was like, we can't wait around while we're starting an institution. There are people who have these needs, even though they've had these needs forever and we didn't know. It's still not okay right now.
No. And they were taken care of great. They were at Lazarus House. They were getting taken care of. There's transportation. But why didn't we know? Why couldn't we have helped them? Why couldn't we have bought them books at the book fair? Or why didn't we know?
Yes.
What could we do?
Yeah.
And where are there others?
Yeah.
What's going on with them?
When was the first time you felt like you belonged in Batavia?
I think when my kids were in school, I connected to the other parents, to my neighbors. I met immediately. We became friends.
Yeah.
And I got involved in PTO pretty quickly.
Okay.
And connected to a lot of great people and great teachers. I became friends with teachers, friends with the parents.
I get that a lot from people when I ask that question. A lot of people, especially who have kids, primarily who have kids, will say that. And it aligns with my experience a good bit. But it does feel like you have to get involved to some degree. It is kind of hard to roll up at pickup and like just talk to people randomly, that kind of thing.
Especially at pickup. They don't want you to get out of your car.
Well, I'm like getting them at the front door. We're walking home.
Okay.
So if I'm picking them up, that's what I'm doing. But yeah, it's difficult to like it increases. I guess I'm processing this in real time. The reason that everyone on this podcast talks about volunteering, getting involved, that sort of thing as like the way towards belonging is that a lot of time it is a shared goal, a shared purpose that actually opens the door to the conversations not being so awkward or stilted or small talky,
And when people know about this issue on all these nonprofits, I still remember. And then they got other people involved. And then the teachers got involved. And Dennis Perron, so involved. He got the whole football team to help us.
Yeah, wow.
Cleaning up yards, picking up furniture, anything.
Awesome, yeah.
Everyone just, okay, what can we do?
I'm wondering if you had a period before that where you were struggling to belong in that way. Was it a learning experience for you, or did this always come naturally?
Big learning experience. I'm very shy. I told you I was nervous.
Sure.
I'm very shy.
Yeah.
I don't like to be a center of anything. I really don't like talking.
I'm sorry.
I'm very quiet. So yeah, it took a while.
Yeah.
And sometimes I would just sit back and listen.
Did you grow up here or did you move here?
We moved here 32 years ago.
So you were how old at that time? Not to... Sorry. So what was your general age range?
I'm 66.
Okay. So
I was 32.
32, yeah.
When we moved here.
So it's like a key, This is like a key, like you're growing up, you're becoming an adult.
Yes.
And
this was my first real home. We moved 2 times before that for short periods of time.
Yeah.
And this is where I consider home.
Yeah. So before you had kids in school, what were you trying to do to experience that belonging?
Not a lot.
Yeah.
I'm a big runner, so I would run, and I usually find a couple people to do that with.
Okay. Yeah. Was it easy to find friends here for you?
Yes.
Okay.
My neighborhood, a lot of them were my age.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And now I'm the old one on the block. During COVID, they're like, well, if you need anything, you let us know. And they're I have the best.
From the front of the yard, yeah.
I have the best neighbors.
Yeah.
And I met friends with the kids going to school and preschool. When my daughter went to preschool, I met friends there that we stayed friends for many years. And then when they started kindergarten, it was pretty easy because then I wasn't working. I got involved. I went and volunteered with the teachers.
Yeah.
And so I was at the school a few hours, a couple times a week.
Right.
And then you meet other parents doing that. It's pretty easy in this town. It's very welcoming.
Yeah.
I love Batavia. My goal is to get my children to move back here. It's not working.
They'll do it eventually. If the podcast is any indication, people always do that. They always come back.
And on your podcast, how you said you wanted to be somewhere where you could walk downtown and there's people everywhere.
Yeah.
They haven't seen that.
Yeah.
They've seen high school where they were bullied, or they need to come back and see all the great new places in town and the Riverwalk, and there's so much.
Yeah, for sure. You struggled with belonging in the beginning a little bit. And then I'm thinking about the people that Chip In is for. And I think one of the things that really struck me about what you do is that you offer services and other things for people that don't necessarily strike you as essential, right? So the big one is the prom dresses, bikes. I don't know. Give me some examples, like things that feel auxiliary, or I don't know how you'd frame it.
To those people, it probably is essential, or as the teen, it's pretty. They might think it's essential that they go to prom and they can't afford a dress. And
that's what I'm getting at, right? Is that really what you're talking about is allowing people to belong, no matter who they are, what they have.
Yes.
Which I think is really, that's what struck me as really cool about the whole thing, is that you're not just about helping people survive. That's part of it. But it's also about helping people thrive and exist and belong in the community.
Absolutely. Our goal, we say from the time a child gets up in the morning till they go to bed, we will help with anything to make them fit in and to be able to do everything that any other child can do or does do.
That they want to do.
That they want to do.
Yeah, yeah.
So it isn't about need. We can help with any activity they want to do.
Yeah.
Do they have to be a cheerleader? Do they have to be on the football team? No.
No, yeah.
But is it essential to their peace of mind and their happiness?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I saw in one interview you had done with our sponsor, Christine Clemens. She had done a video interview with you. And you mentioned that they can get access to the robotics club if they want to do that.
Club.
Yeah.
Any activity.
Any
music,
club.
theater, sports, band, any activity.
Yeah.
And there's also the Batavia Athletic and Activities Foundation. And we work together.
Yeah.
And we do a little bit less of this because that's what they focus on.
Yeah.
But anything.
How are you vouching for people? How do you figure out, how do you prioritize who's getting that access to that stuff?
Our amazing staff has to come to us with the need.
Okay. Yeah.
And when they do...
The staff in the schools.
Yes.
Okay,
So we work with all the counselors.
That's where the collaboration with the school comes into play.
We have a contacted school, but then the Bertolo and the high school, and I'm the liaison at the high school. I work with all the counselors.
Yeah.
So if they have a need, 2 days ago, can you help pay for 10 dual credit classes for 10 low-income kids? Yes.
Yeah. There's also just this assumption by, I think, a lot of privileged people that people will really want to get free stuff all the time. And it's, in my experience, that is not easy for people to do.
People are embarrassed to ask.
Yeah.
When they need it, let alone when they don't.
Right.
But we know from the different people that we work with that they're within our mission.
Yeah.
That they're low income, or it's called Nikiti Vento. That means they're homeless.
Okay.
And they don't have a home of their own.
Got it.
So, and they just told us the other day, we're up to 20% of our population is considered low income.
Okay.
That's a lot.
20?
20
is what? Low income.
So they're either on free or reduced lunch program.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
When we started, there were 40 homeless students.
Yeah.
And that could have been less than 40 families. That could have been 2 children in one home. But there were 40 homeless students. And today, I think there's about 100.
In Batavia?
In Batavia.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, they're not living on the street. They don't have a permanent home of their own. They might be living with grandma. They might be living with a friend or a cousin or an aunt. They might be in a hotel.
Right.
There's
shelter. Some instability happening.
Exactly.
And certainly, man, you're talking about neighbors in terms of how you belong.
Yeah.
You want that. You need that sense of sort of groundedness in a location. I don't know if you need it, but it helps, right?
Yes.
To have neighbors that you know for a long period of time and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And a lot of them feel alone and don't know where to turn, and their children need help with clothes, or it's non-ending.
Welcome to Settling In with Christine Clemens. On each installment of Settling In, we'll spend a couple of minutes diving deeper into what it means to make Batavia home with insights and advice from our title sponsor, local real estate expert Christine Clemens of App Properties Christie's International Real Estate. This week, we talk about why it's so important and so rewarding to become an active participant in your community. I feel bad that all people can't just start a podcast and do this, because it really allowed me to do two things. It gave me a reason to sit down and talk to people. It also encouraged me to be vulnerable with people. In these conversations, I'm trying to articulate the viewpoint of the audience, which is largely just a version of me, right? It's people who have moved here, and want to belong. And so it's like so individualized. The thing that A, motivates a person to finally do it, and B, is the thing they're comfortable doing.
Well, and I don't feel like it feels comfortable when you first get started. I also do something similar to what you do. I have a Know Your Neighbors of the Fox Valley video series where it's very short form. It's like 5 minutes, where your interviews are much longer, but I talked to people, and the first few videos that I did, I was like, wow, this really feels uncomfortable. I don't know if I like this, but I did like so badly want to be a part of community. I wanted to get to know business people. And I also, one of the reasons why I did it is because when I was sitting in that house by myself in that first year or two, and I wanted to go out for pizza, or I wanted to go buy something for a friend, I didn't really know where to go because I was so new. And so I thought, wouldn't it be nice to have a resource where I could not only see what they have for sale, but meet the business owners and feel like I want to do business with them.
Totally, yeah.
And so it does feel very uncomfortable to begin with, but then once you do it a few times, and that's the same thing with like being a participant in your community, it's going to probably feel uncomfortable the first few times that you really put yourself out there in a vulnerable way. But it gets easier. And also, in this small community that we have in Batavia, you're going to start running into the same people all the time, and it's going to be a very short time, and you're going to find that you're surrounded by those people that you've just reached out to.
Christine Clemens is a real estate broker with At Properties Christie's International Real Estate, one of Chicagoland's most trusted brokers, helping you buy, sell, and invest in real estate. For more information and to see how much your home is worth, text HOME to 630-797-8421 or go to christineclemens.com or click the link in the show notes. This episode of Area Code Batavia is brought to you by Bulldog Plumbing. I'm not sure if you noticed, it's been raining a lot this summer, but you know who's always ready to help out in these situations. Our sponsors at Bulldog Plumbing. They're the local heroes keeping Batavia basements dry no matter how much rain we get. I've been living in Batavia for about 6 years, and we have yet to have a flooded basement. Well, except for a few times when our laundry sink overflowed. We got a sock stuck in the drain. That should be probably a cautionary tale for you. Anyway, I'm no expert, but I think the main reason we haven't had flooding from the outside is because of our sump pump. If you don't have a sump pump, you might want to consider it. Bulldog Plumbing has top-notch sump pumps and battery backups to keep your basement completely dry. Unless, of course, you have a sock in your laundry sink. I know from experience, a flooded basement is a headache you don't need. Call Bulldog Plumbing for peace of mind, knowing your home is protected. For more information or to schedule an appointment, visit their website in the show notes or give them a call at 630-313-9109. This episode of Area Code Batavia is brought to you by the Batavia Paranormal Investigation Squad. Are you one of the 2/3 of Batavians who experience paranormal activity on a regular basis? Call for a free estimate, 1-800-555-BPIS. Batavia Paranormal Investigation Squad. Spiritual cleansing for the city of energy. I want to explore a feeling you articulated earlier. You said that when you heard about this problem, you became ashamed. And shame is a thing I've been thinking about leading up to this interview, because I think there is the shame you feel when you realize you could do more, that you should do more. And then there's the shame you feel when you need help. And I'm wondering, like, we talked about this a little bit, but like, how do you think about and address that feeling of like, I don't want to be the person who needs these things? I think even I feel a version of this. I don't have these same challenges, but I feel a version of, I would rather be in the corner unnoticed than someone take an interest in me in a certain way. How do you address that when you're interacting with people who need your services?
We often don't see the families or the students we're helping.
Yeah.
Because most of the requests come through the staff. So if somebody wants help with marching band, we're just writing a check. When it comes to the prom event, that might be where we might see the most people.
Okay.
And it's open to any student from any district, no matter what.
Okay.
Even if you could afford a dress, they're so expensive.
Yeah.
So we don't know who those kids are, and we treat everyone like they're coming into a store.
Sure. Yeah.
When we started, it was only for Batavia students who had a note from their counselor.
Yeah.
And it was at Zano's, and we had one rack. Then we went to a church, and then I think we opened it up to any student at the high school or still low income. It didn't need to know. It progressed. And
it became less friction involved.
Yes.
Yeah.
We treat them all like they're our child or our child's friend.
Yeah. But you must think about that, though, in terms of how people are feeling about it and how to, they're not talking to you, but they are having to talk to someone and they're having to receive, which is a hard thing to do.
Yes, yeah. Amy Nelson is the community outreach liaison at the district. If you haven't met her, you will.
Okay.
She's an angel and wonderful and will help anybody in the world. And she's the one who's face-to-face with these people, with the families that we help.
Yeah.
And there's a mix, just like there's a mix with anybody.
Yeah.
And some are beyond grateful, afraid to ask. Others that have learned they can get things
yeah.
and ask frequently.
Yeah. And maybe they're used to it's part of the process for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's different.
Yeah.
But we still treat everyone, she treats everyone. And so do we when we meet them with respect, like they're our child's friend or our own child.
Yeah.
And we want them to have all the same opportunities.
I guess the word is stigma that I'm sort of circling here.
So,
it's like reducing stigma is sort of.
Some people may feel that, but the staff in our district is amazing. Another reason we all love Batavia.
Yeah.
They care. They take care of them. They make sure that they're okay. They do their best so there is no stigma.
Yeah.
And there could be a stigma with a million other different things, I'm sure, with kids.
Yeah. I
have not heard of bullying or anything negative or bad.
Yeah.
Do our best. The whole district does their best to take care of these kids.
In your mind, are there gaps? And I don't mean gaps we could solve necessarily, but gaps we should be aware of in terms of just the natural fact of life. This is how some people feel differentiated or like outside of or feel marginalized from other parts of the community.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
There are some people, a lot of people are here they didn't grow up here. We have a big influx now of immigrants that we're helping.
Interesting. Yeah. From where typically? Do you know?
Venezuela,
okay,
Nicaragua, the Congo, Ukraine are the biggest ones that of people that I've been working with.
Okay.
Do they feel marginalized? I don't know. I hope not, because they are so welcomed here. They work with different organizations that help bring them here.
Yep.
We've helped families furnish an entire apartment. They came with nothing, and their whole apartment got furnished by us. Well, not by us, by our community, because we ask and it comes.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. How does their presence affect the town in your mind?
I don't know. I don't see the interaction between them and other people.
Yeah.
Some of them I have met, some of them I have not. I think most of our community is very welcoming.
Yeah.
And they tend to be so grateful, so overwhelmed by the kindness. And if someone just says thank you, great. Not everyone does.
Yeah.
And the experience we've had recently has been, they're so generous. They're just so grateful. And they all seem to be very hardworking, looking for jobs or found jobs. And there was a Ukraine family that came with 7 kids. We helped them a little bit.
Yeah.
And now she spends all her time helping everyone else.
Wow.
So if we get offers of furniture, I send them to her and she sends them off to other people.
Right.
If that's not the complete circle.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
When you started CHIP in Batavia, how did you expect it to pan out?
We were going to get kids some new underwear. And see, the director of the Fine Arts Center said this boy keeps coming with the same jeans every day. Got him a pair of jeans. We thought, okay, good. Some underwear, some jeans.
Yeah.
We get some school supplies. And no big deal.
Yep.
And then all these people, like, well, what else can we do? What else can we do? The high school, Dennis Piron, football. What can we do? What can we do?
Interesting, yeah.
It just grew. Restaurants, what can we do? We can have a fundraiser for you. Comedy Vault just did a donation drive for us.
Huh.
If you went down the whole town, down the street, almost all of them have done something.
Do you think, I don't know if you can answer this, but do you think the support you receive for CHIP in Batavia is unique to nonprofits in general?
I think there's a lot of nonprofits that get a lot of support in our community.
In our community.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we've met there's a similar organization to us in St. Charles.
Yeah.
That we all talk, we all partner.
Yeah.
I think we're all lucky to have it, but I will say it again that we're luckier to be in Batavia.
Yeah.
Where everyone wants to help.
Yeah.
All the time.
And they're asking. Yeah. I mean, the thing that struck me about that description of how this happened, how it got to this point is I thought you were going with, we were offering these basic things and we started to see other needs. That's where I thought this was going. But it almost feels like it went to other people started to say, let's come up with other things we can do. We want to be involved even more. Partly,
but before that, as the district staff started to see what was going on and all the different people involved, they would go, "Whoa, well, we could use this. You know, we have an after-school club, but they need a snack." Or they during COVID, the kids are all fidgety. Could you get us some fidget things? We got them fidget things. There's a class for, I think it's called Developing Opportunities. This wonderful teacher had a room, but he didn't have furniture. Do you guys think you could help us with that or get us some other things for the students? We're like, yeah, we can do that. Yeah. So I think once they knew we were here, they're like, oh, I got needs.
Yes. And it's the support and resources gives you the space to be open about some of that, you know?
Yes.
And again, like these questions of belonging, like how do we help people belong, period? Not just, how do we help people sort of start to belong and sort of lean it? Like prom is a thing a lot of people don't like. This is so silly, but I remember an episode of Saved by the Bell where Kelly Kapowski's dad loses her job and she is not able to go to the dance. And I don't know if it was prom. I think it was a homecoming dance. And because she couldn't get a dress. And it's like a thing people deal with in life.
It is, but it's sad. They shouldn't have to.
Yeah, like exactly.
They shouldn't have to. We pay for homecoming tickets.
Yes.
There's a nonprofit that does dresses that we helped when they first started.
Yeah.
And because we don't do homecoming, there's a form that the high school teachers can fill out. I sign it. They can go get a free dress at this nonprofit for homecoming. So to these kids and their families, that's kind of almost a need that you're all going to prom and homecoming, but I can't go. But now they can.
Yeah. There's this feeling I think a lot of people have of we've done enough, you know, or they want to get to that point where they feel like we've done enough. But it's interesting because what you're articulating is a comfort around there's always more that can be done. That's not bad. It just is. It's bad that those things are not addressed, but always striving to address them is good and valuable. And that's really what your whole life has been, it feels like.
Yes. And with CHIP In, the kids grow up and now there's more kids. So we're not dealing with the same students.
Yeah, there's always more kids. Yeah.
Well, there's more kids.
Yeah.
You know, we do college and laptop scholarships every year for seniors. They're done. They graduate. Now there's a new group. Okay. We'll do it for them. So there's always a student in need that may not have been in need.
Right.
Or
you're getting laptops for college students? Is that the idea?
We have a scholarship for laptops in college.
Okay.
Every year.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay. Was there a moment ever after you started CHIP in Batavia where you started to question whether this was a good idea?
Maybe once in a while.
Okay.
Because it's stressful.
Yeah.
It's hard to hear about these sad stories.
Yeah.
It's sometimes takes longer than we want to figure out how to help.
Yeah.
We've been asked for furniture so much that it's now a side business. That's very stressful. So sometimes I think, what are we doing?
What do you mean it's a side business?
Well, people say, we were homeless. Now we're getting an apartment and our goal was to try and furnish it.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
But it's hard. We have to find people.
It takes as much work as pretty much anything.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, we have to ask someone for a donation. We have to figure out how to pick it up. We got to get it there.
You borrow a friend's pickup truck.
That is exactly
Times a million.
That is exactly what we do.
Yeah.
Although Melinda and I found a neighbor who wants to start a nonprofit where they collect furniture. They're getting a storage unit and a truck.
Okay.
And they're going to deliver. So that is in the future. And that used to be a thing a few years ago, and then they moved. And there are some in town. St. Vincent de Paul does it. But every day we get an email. Oh, my mom is moving. Here's 20 items. Can you pick them up tomorrow?
Oh, wow.
No, I can't pick them up tomorrow.
Yeah. So the thing that makes you question is just being overwhelmed?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's great. And we have a liaison also for each school. We're all volunteers. So they all have their responsibility at that school.
Yeah.
So that takes a big burden off. Melinda does the Batavia Apartments, which is big. I do the high school with another liaison.
Yeah.
So we all have our space.
Yes. There are a lot of needs in the world. There are a lot of different nonprofits, different things you could focus on. What is it about this that made you, why are you so passionate about this particular project?
Because I have children. Picture having a child who had to wear the same outfit, or who I didn't have laundry detergent, or who couldn't be in marching band, or couldn't do gymnastics, or couldn't get a drum set because they wanted to be in a band, or all my kids' stuff. Every child should have the opportunity to pursue their dreams, to be happy, to be safe, to be comfortable, to not have to worry about a shower and shampoo and shoes.
You say you can't imagine people not having those things, but you kind of do imagine. I feel like that's why you did this, is because you started to imagine and empathize toward what that is like. Yes. I'm curious if you had an experience in the past growing up where you knew people in those positions. Did you see that?
No.
Were you aware of it growing up? No.
That's part of my inner struggle. It took me till I was 35 to see it.
Yeah.
I was ashamed.
That's where the ashamed thing comes in.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
I grew up in a nice town and I didn't see it.
This resonates with me. There are certain things I was unaware of until around that age, and they became semi-causes for me. Like they became a big deal, passions of mine. Yeah. And so, that's interesting, because I think a lot of times people assume they must have experience with this kind of thing or whatever. Sometimes it's the opposite, where it's just like, there's a lot of, I've been really lucky around these things, and I know how much that meant to me. Yeah. And so I want other people to have that experience. Yeah. And
there's a Section 8 housing development in Batavia, and the person who handles community outreach is an angel from heaven, and they do so much, but I didn't even know about that. And it was right here in our neighborhood. Yeah. And the kids were going to school with my kids, and some were probably totally fine, and I mean, you just don't know. And it's not just there. They're in everywhere, at every school, that I don't mean it negatively. There's families and students who need help. Yeah. Yeah. For a million different reasons.
Right. What has co-founding and running CHIP in Batavia taught you about yourself?
I've learned to think out of the box a little bit.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Melinda's better at that than I am. And she's really creative. And I'm doing things I never thought I would do, working with all these local businesses and restaurants and churches. And I told you I'm pretty quiet, but it's gotten me to be more vocal.
Vocal in what way?
Telling people about this. We've spoken at different places, and if someone asks me about it, I tell them. If they ask if they can help, I try and find things that they could do.
Yeah. What is it about CHIP in Batavia that could only work in Batavia?
I think a small town feel where everybody seems connected.
More personalized.
Yeah, and everyone seems to know everyone. Yeah. I mean, and between Melinda and I and the liaisons, we know a lot of people. Yeah. And just to get the different groups here, it took 2 days.
I'm sort of getting like the feeling that there's a sort of semi-anonymity thing.
Say that 10 times.
It's such a weird word. That if people want to come to benefit from what you offer, they can do so in a way that they're not standing out. But I also think being known is really important, and I'm wondering how you think about or balance those two things.
How me being known or CHIP in being? Oh.
The people you benefit. That was really unclear. So I feel like being known in your community as a person who needs things, even not as a person who needs things, but a person who needs things, those things are important, but also being known and seen in the community is pretty important. So how do you balance those things?
If you're talking about the people who need help, I don't think they're ever singled out. Yeah. Because it's usually a one-on-one with a teacher or a counselor. And I would like to think that the other children in the classes don't know that they needed help to join the club or a sport, or that I don't know who bought someone's clothes or shoes or jeans or backpack or school supplies. Yeah. So we do it We don't walk into a class and say, here's all the stuff that you need.
Yeah.
I mean, it's completely anonymous.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone knows who is or is not ever being helped.
Yeah.
We don't advertise it. We don't talk about it. We don't even have names most of the time. I might get student 321. So a lot of the time, I have no idea who we're helping.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a student today who's low income and needs eczema cream. Maybe it's no big deal to everyone else, but to that student and that parent, it's a big deal.
Yep.
And we'll have that for them tomorrow. Our goal is also to work really fast. So a student who has shoes with a giant hole in them, our liaison will go if they know about it today, by 3:30, it's possible they'll have those shoes to that student.
I really like that because it does create a feeling of like, that feels similar to if I were to ask my wife to go to the grocery store and buy something, I probably would get it later than that. It would probably, and to be honest, I'm the one who does the grocery shopping.
Oh, well, good for you.
And it would be later if my wife asked me to pick something up.
Well, sometimes. But when it comes to something important, another student needed some shoes and the liaison got them that day.
Yeah.
And no one knows.
And you're removing barriers. It feels like to being seen and known by people they want to be seen and known by.
Nobody knows that those shoes came from anyone but her mom or dad that got those.
Cool. What keeps you up at night? Besides coffee, too much caffeine, what's the thing that you worry about that keeps you up at night?
Furniture.
Really? It sounds like that's the part that's overwhelming you a little bit.
It's the part I don't like. But that's going to end. However, there have been a few houses that we've fully furnished for amazing families. Yeah. And there's no better feeling than watching them walk in to the home with their children. Yeah. It makes us cry still.
Yes. I just want to say the furniture thing is really important too, because hosting is so important to feelings of community, being able to host, whether you do it or not. I mean, we rarely do it, but the idea that we probably should, and it would be valuable to our neighborhood and for us.
Yeah. The families that we're helping, some of them were living doubled up and never had their own home. Mm-hmm. So this one mom we helped, she has not had a home for years. Mm. And we did everything. And then they walked in with her kids and they thought they were coming to visit someone else. Oh, wow. And they did not believe that it was their home. Wow. And we helped them get this home through a Section 8 grant. And it was amazing.
That's awesome.
So I would say the last thing they were thinking about is hosting anybody. Sure, they want to close the door and sit in their house with some of they just...
Totally. I'm a potential person. So I'm thinking about what's the potential of that? And that is one thing I think is cool about all of this that you're doing is that it raises the ceiling on what is possible for so many of these people.
We had a mom who's had stage 4 cancer, 7 children, and she's been homeless ever since we've all known her. All this is again with all the different area groups with St. Vincent de Paul and Salvation Army and Batavia United Way and CHIP In. We all helped collect money for her rent or down payment. And within 1 week, we found every single piece of furniture she needed.
Wow.
It's a miracle.
Yeah.
So just to make her feel, so that's when I would lose sleep.
You're changing people's whole lives.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
It did.
CHIP in Batavia, people in Batavia.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think it means to belong in Batavia?
Knowing people in the different parts of our community, from Park District to the school district, businesses, volunteer groups. I think it's easy to get involved. You just have to look around and see what you want to do. There's so many opportunities, whether it's to work for profit or a nonprofit. There's so many opportunities.
Yeah. When you say knowing people, what do you mean by that? What does that mean?
If you get involved in any activity, whether it's with your kids or work, you get to know people and you talk to them. And I've had friends who say, well, we'll go to lunch, but we're not going to lunch at Batavia because you're going to be talking to everybody. And I considered myself really shy and really quiet. But you get to know in 35 years when you do all these different things and you have 3 kids in all the schools and you volunteered, so you know the teachers and you know the park district and you get to know people. Yeah. So that's where I think it can be easy if you just say hello and smile and see if there's something you can do that you want to do to help or get involved.
This is kind of out of nowhere, but it just occurred to me to ask this. Have you ever needed help?
Financially?
I guess I'm leaving that open-ended. You can answer however you want.
I've had a very wonderful life with wonderful parents and 2 siblings. Yeah. Met my husband in high school. I have not really been alone. Really good friends. So my needs are inconsequential.
Huh. Yeah. Do you ever ask for help?
No, I should. I don't like to.
Okay.
And Melinda and I, neither of us do.
Yeah.
So we both like to just
You focus on
figure
offering
it out.
it. You're focused on, but when you say you should.
Yes, I should. And we do. Well, I shouldn't say that. Yes, I've asked for help because everyone in this community is helping us. So at one point, yes, we did ask them for help.
Yes, totally. Yeah.
So we did ask.
Yeah.
We asked all the people with the trucks, and we work with almost every church. So we do ask. And we ask at the high school, and we ask dentists, and we ask the counselors. We do ask.
There have been times throughout my life when I felt lonely, alienated, or just out of place. And I have vivid memories of small moments when people invited me into their place or their community, when a small gesture, an encouragement, changed everything for me. It didn't take much, just a small acknowledgement that someone saw me and appreciated my presence alongside them. Joanne's subtle, unassuming personality is perfect for the work she does. It requires a delicate balance between offering help and preserving dignity. CHIP in Batavia, ultimately, is about offering small, concrete acts of kindness. But the impact of those acts isn't small. In fact, those subtle gestures can transform lives. Thanks for listening to Area Code Batavia. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode. If you enjoyed this podcast, you should absolutely subscribe to the newsletter. Not only will we let you know when a new episode is out, but you'll also receive a weekly list of 5 concrete ways to belong in Batavia. Just click the link in the show notes. Most importantly, if you know someone who would love to hear this podcast, please share it with them. Word of mouth is the best way to grow our community and help more people feel like they belong in Batavia, Illinois. Area Code Batavia is produced by Area Code Audio. It's hosted and produced by me, Richard Clark, with additional production help from Jennifer Clark. Edited and mixed by Matt Linder.